Hello everyone and welcome back to Mason Cable Network. My name is Aiden Jacobs and today I have the pleasure to be joined by Maria Cuesta and Colin Mcaulay, who are running for student body president and vice president. Maria and Colin, would you like to introduce yourselves?
Yeah, let me start. So I am Maria, I'm an international student from Colombia. I am a sophomore studying government international relations and economics, and I'm happy that you guys are giving us a chance to speak our platform. Thank you.
I'm Colin Mcaulay, and studying international security and law at the Shar School, junior here at Mason. Been doing this a long time and excited to be running for vice president.
Well, that's incredible, and thank you guys so much for we're a pleasure to have you today. So I just wanted to open the floor with you guys. So ask both of you, what motivated each of you to run for the position of president and vice president of the student government?
For me personally, it applies for both of us. We have been involved in the Mason community. We go to different clubs. We interact with students kind of every day. Last semester, we stood out in Wilkins Plaza every Tuesday. We spoke with students, hey, how can we improve Mason? And hearing their voices, their concerns, really allowed us to understand what was happening in Mason. And with our abilities to connect with not just the Mason student, but administration has given us the networking and the experience in order to help students. So that has been a big motivation, just hearing students wanting us to be in these positions and representing them.
Yeah, I've got a love and a drive for public service. When I found the opportunity to join the student government a couple of years ago, it really confirmed that for me. Being able to do this kind of work has been fulfilling. I've loved being a part of the community and representing the community, and for the senior year, for the experience that I've had and the skill that I've been able to do it, running for student body vice president along with Maria was the right move.
So to both of you, what experience or skills do you possess that make you qualified for the position of president and student body vice president?
I think I am a people's person. I like communicating with people. I love working with people. It's my passion. It's what I have been doing since I was little, here in Colombia, also in Kenya, and here in the United States. And it's something that people need. People need a president who is connected and understands the students, but also who's not afraid to reach out to administration and speak to them and speak demands that students want.
My goal is to be a United States diplomat. I want to work for the Department of State, and those skills that'll come along with that, I think is what makes me unique in running for this position. My diplomatic ability, my ability to create relationships, my ability to build coalitions. Within the student government, my number one skill that I brought to the table was forming the relationships. After years of the organization not being a part of the university, not being a part of the student body, many of the administrators that we started to work with said that, me and my partners were the first people to come to them and start working with them again. So these skills are what we want to bring to the table. The relationships that we have are what we want to bring to the table.
Absolutely. So how is your prior experience, I know both of you mentioned that you were in student government, how has that prior experience kind of prepared you in your approach for this role?
Yeah, it's allowed me to get to know both the student body and the administration. The administration at this university knows me by first name. They know me as well as any other student here. I regularly work with them. I regularly meet with them. Even while I'm not in the student government at the moment, I still serve on many boards. I serve on different representative positions and committees, so I'm regularly in contact with them. And that's what my experience has been able to give me in terms of running for this position.
Yeah, similar to that, what Colin said, but also understanding how student government works is also beneficial, because if we don't know how student government works in the Senate and Cabinet, then how are we supposed to run student government effectively? But also that has allowed us to know how can we improve it and change it in order to be more effective and in order to reach more, a bigger student body and a bigger, how do I say this? Just be more effective in general.
Absolutely. So before we get into it, I wanted to get to your platform a little bit. Could you introduce to us your platform and what specifically you're running on?
Yeah, so our three big pillars are student representation, university life, and protecting and promoting diversity, DEI, so diversity, inclusion, and equity. What else?
Yeah, I mean, every piece of our platform is intertwined with those pillars. If we want the administration to know anything about our campaign when we're elected, and if we want the student body to understand anything about our campaign when they're going to vote, it's that those three values are what we want every vote for us to be supporting. Student representation means putting students in the room when big decisions are made. Many of the large decisions where millions of dollars are spent of tuition dollars at this university, students aren't represented when those decisions are made. We've got the 15th most depressed campus in the country, according to polls, and having a strong student life is the only way to combat that. And promoting and protecting DEI, we're in an existential moment in Virginia where we have a government and a governor that's appointing predatory visitors that are trying to take away the support for important student organizations for thousands of students at this school. And these pillars are what we want to be known about this campaign.
But that's not where it ends. We also focus on university services. For example, when we go talk to different students, one of the big demands is parking. Parking is really expensive, but unfortunately we can't bring the expense down, but we can reduce the cost. So in our platform, we have different ways to do that. But also academics, how can we make scholarships more available for students? Whether being departments emailing everyone about the scholarships that are specific to that to your major, and making that accessible, but also making relations with our governments here in Virginia, Fairfax, and just in general. So it extends more than those three pillars.
Great, absolutely. And as outlined in your platform, and if I'm correct in speaking, it's a for students by student platform. You actually ended up getting your platform written by students. How do you intend to address the issue of food insecurity here at Mason?
Yeah, so we worked with Hannah Covey on writing the platform. Hannah's a Bonner student leader. She's worked on food insecurity across many organizations throughout her time. And she was able to give us some great ideas, assisting the Food Recovery Network, newly created organization. We want to make sure that it's institutionalized. Right now they're partnered with Sodexo, which is a company that's contract ends in a year from now. They may not be at this university. We want to ensure that a program like Food Recovery Network, which takes food and repurposes it to allow students who are food insecure to have it for free. We want to make sure programs like that stick around. The State Council on Higher Education has recently passed a law to survey public universities in Virginia to find the actual amount of students that are food insecure. We want to make sure that the SHEV has every tool necessary to get an accurate assessment, because the hunger-free campus bills in Richmond need to pass. They did not pass this year. They made it through the House, and they were pushed to 2025 from the Senate. Next year it has to pass, so we need to do everything in our power to make sure the SHEV gives the information to delegates and senators that's necessary for it to pass. There needs to be education. There needs to be, students need to understand that their fellow students are food insecure. There's a stigma around it that students aren't talking about it if they are, but students need to understand that on any college campus, anywhere between 37% or 29 and 37% of students are food insecure. We need to, there needs to be a larger food insecurity swipes program at this university. Sodexo can afford it. We're at 2,000 swipes that are given out to students for food insecurity. That needs to be far more robust, and it needs to be far more accessible for students to get into. Last year the program had 25 students. This year the program could have 50 students. With the numbers I said before, we're looking at thousands of students who are food insecure on this campus. I mean, there are so many programs that we want to put the weight of this campaign behind, to put the pressure on the university to make sure that it's focused on, and to put the pressure on Richmond to make sure that it's focused on.
But also bringing our Mason community together through community action, so volunteer as well, like extending the Patriot Pantry and partnering with organizations and clubs like Greek Life or our culture organizations, so that we can have a volunteer-based Patriot Pantry extended and help our students who are insecure about food.
Absolutely. Can you share how your platform will also attempt to address campus accessibility for our Mason students?
Yeah, so we partnered with UBU, which is the neurodivergent student community here at Mason, on writing our accessibility portion of the platform. The big things we really want to hit on, and that UBU wants to hit on, Adam Rizzoli and Zoe Winter were the writers for this part of the platform. The biggest one is the Disability Resource Center. There are thousands of students who are registered with disability services, and they don't have a space on this campus. UBU has created a space. In the meanwhile, they created an office hours. They're renting rooms, typically in JC Floor 3, where students who are registered with disability service or neurodivergent are always welcome in a sensory-friendly space. But a disability resource center would be huge for that community. A sensory-friendly dining hall would be huge for that community. There's an allergen-free dining hall that is a great start, and with a few small changes, we can make that space sensory-friendly. And these kind of principles are what Adam and Zoe want to see for their community, and we want to make sure that we give it the platform and the weight of the Cuesta Mcaulay campaign.
Yeah, and also speaking a little bit on experience, also making social events accessible for students with disabilities. So a shout out, we are having a sensory formal this April 5th from 7 at the Hub. So if you want to go and learn about, hey, have a fun time with and a sensory friendly formal, be there.
Absolutely, and I hope all of our viewers will be there as well. Colin, you mentioned one of the things that, student life here at campus, we're one of the 15th most depressed universities here, and speaking about positivity, and one of the things that you need with that is a positive work environment. So how will you guys promote that positive work environment and a sense of collaboration with other members of student government and then, just the wider community itself?
Student government is, I'd call it almost a semi-professional organization. The business of the organization is important. There's passion behind it, and with the nature of the Senate in its debate format, not everyone's always going to be on the same page, but when we're focused on the mission, when we're focused on working for students, when we're focused on taking direction from students, we think the organization can stick together, and we want to lead an organization that has a unified goal, that agrees on the vision, and that's how we want to breed a positive work environment.
I think that also adding on to what Colin said, we just need to promote collaboration in general. Like, there is a huge culture of I instead of we. So changing that pronoun of like, hey, this is not like my initiative, this is our initiative. Because at the end of the day, we're trying to work together to accomplish something. So bringing or giving the space for student government members and our community to be together, sit together, and tackle something together, it's a way that we can change that negative culture and move forward into actually doing positive change here on campus.
Going back to your platform, how do you plan to address issues of diversity, equity, and inclusion here on campus?
So one of our biggest things in our platform is creating a coalition between all of umbrella organizations. This is the first step. It will not be only limited to them, but it's a trial, right? So if we give people this space to come together, we can talk about the issues that affect our community, but we can also promote collaboration between these clubs, right? Because one of the things that Mason is missing is not university life. We actually have huge university life. It's unity. It's seeing that university life in our campus. So if, for example, we have HALA and BLACC working together and collaborating in a huge event together, that will bring members from these two communities to come together and create bigger events. So it's not events that we're missing. It's that ability for all of us to be together and show Mason or what Mason is, because we are a diverse community, right? We're not just intermingled. We are kind of secluded in our own little communities. So bringing everyone together is one of the ways that we can promote diversity and inclusion here on campus.
So what is your vision for enhancing that campus life and student engagement that you just touched on?
Well, that's one of them. The second one is also doing big events like tailgates. That's one of the things that we work and we partner with Greek Life, and also things like food truck Thursdays. Like, that's one of the biggest things that Colin also came up with in our talks with our students here in the JC. Other things like Fridays at Mason. Do you want to talk more about Fridays at Mason?
Yeah, our goal for Fridays at Mason is to take the student leaders we know, take the social leaders we know, and get everybody in the same place at the same time. And we want to create an event that everyone knows their friends are at. People go to events because their friends are there. And everyone agrees that Mason has community, but everyone also agrees that those communities aren't pockets. And with our relationships, with the trust that student leaders have in us, we think that we can create a space in which all the organizations at the university can be in the same place, whether it's professional, social, cultural, special interest. We think there's a space for all of it. And Fridays at Mason is our goal to create that, and it's our goal to create that culture of going out, Friday night around 7 o'clock every other week, and knowing you're going to see your friends and knowing you're going to see your favorite people out there doing their thing.
Absolutely. How do you both plan to work with the university administration to advocate for student needs?
I already work with the university administration. I've been working with the university administration. I currently hold a position on within the president's office at this university. I work for Rose Pasquarel as a student assistant, who's the vice president of University Life. I'm very comfortable in that space. I'm very comfortable, and they're comfortable with me. But they know that they're going to get me. They're going to get the honesty out of me. They're not expecting. The reason they like me is because they know they're going to get the truth. And when I'm in disagreement with them, they'll know. And we'll set up another meeting and we'll continue to work on it. But there's never been a point where they're sick of me. There's never been a point where they can't have me in the space anymore because they don't see the productivity in it. There's a lot of initiatives we've worked on in the past that they took a long, long time. They took many, many meetings where we didn't get what we wanted. The mandatory student fee, the energy efficiency, resiliency action plan to get us to carbon zero and carbon neutrality. I mean, these are huge initiatives that we found success on that took a long time, that took many conversations, but they were won with civility and they were won with respect. And that's how I plan, and that's how we plan to work with the administration.
But also something valuable that we have is that they respect us, just because we are respectful to them as well. So having that relationship, having that ability for not just them listen to us, but also us listening to them, is what has made it effective for us to have that relationship with administration.
And how important do you think that respect is? And do you think it's vital for long-term success when collaborating with the administration?
100%. Like, if you don't have a relationship built on respect, how are we going to be listened to and how are we going to listen to them, right? We got to be in a common ground, right? Because, we have our demands, but they also have rules that they have to follow. So how do we come and sway that common ground, right?
And not only is the respect important, but with it comes the knowledge that who they're talking to is truly a representative. When we enter these spaces, they know that they're talking to more than just us. And they know that what we're saying isn't coming from us. We are representing people when we're in those spaces, and they know that. And we think that it's going to go miles for us. When we are elected and we are able to advocate for these policies, we expect a lot of yeses, and they are expecting to say yes.
Absolutely. And a question for you, Colin. Are you planning on continuing the work that you're doing alongside Vice President Pasquarel once elected to the position of Student Body Vice President?
If elected Student Body Vice President, I wouldn't continue my position within Merton Hall.
Now, wanted to bring back the questions to both of you. What, in your eyes, sets your platform apart from other candidates? And why do you think students should ultimately vote for you?
Well, a lot of things set our platform apart from it. One of them is university life. One of the biggest things that we have is, bringing, again, everyone together, unifying our organizations together, but also things like Tailgate, like we talked about, Fridays at Mason, all these events that we want to do and create. And things about like services, talking about parking, one of the biggest things that our commuters and on-campus students worry about, because it's a lot of money. But also talking about first-gen undocumented students, which I'm some background about me is that I work for the Freshman Center as an undocumented LA trainer, and one of the biggest things or issues that we have is that we don't have a huge ally network here in our campus. So how do we spread that message of how can we be an ally to undocumented students? What resources do they need? How do we create and make these resources available and accessible for our students? And Colin can add more into that.
I think what sets us apart is the legitimacy of our pillars for the campaign. When it comes to student representation, I know we're the only campaign with the influence and the connections to properly fill the positions necessary on the boards, committees, commissions, and task forces that we want student representation on. I know that we're the only campaign that can throw the events and that could invigorate the student life that we want to see because of our connections with the social organizations and all the organizations that are going to come with that. When it comes to promoting and protecting DEI, we're the only campaign calling it how it is, which is that there is an existential threat on cultural organizations and Black, brown, and gay students at this school and the support they receive from this university. So being that we're the only campaign talking about these issues, talking about them the way they are, that's as well connected as we are, that's what sets us apart.
Absolutely. Well, I want to thank you both for coming in so much. It was great speaking with you. If there's just anything else that you would like to add or highlight about your platform that we haven't yet covered that you feel is important to broadcast to Maiden students?
I mean, we got an Instagram. It's
at Cuesta Mcaulay 2024. Make sure to vote this Monday until Friday. And yeah.
Come say hi if you see us on campus.
Thank you for having us.
Of course, pleasure. And thank you both so much for coming out. And yeah, it's a pleasure having you. So good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.